Ethan Stone existed in a world entirely carved from ice. People didn't whisper that he was cold. They whispered that he was inhuman. The kind of man who stared too long, blinked too little, and carried silence like a weapon. His employees learned early. Warmth melted against him and evaporated, leaving nothing behind. He did not smile. He did not soften. He did not laugh, publicly or privately. Anyone foolish enough to attempt conversation with him received answers as sharp as glass. He walked through his empire like a ghost wearing a tailored suit. In the skyscraper he owned, Stone Tower, there was an unspoken rule. Do not look Ethan Stone in the eyes unless he speaks to you first. Most people prayed he never spoke to them at all. There were stories, rumors, speculations. Some said he had once been kind. Some said he had once been human. Some said love had ruined him. Whatever the truth was, the Ethan Stone of today was a masterpiece of controlled cruelty. Every step he took commanded obedience. Every stare held the weight of a silent execution. He was respected, feared, untouchable. Before the world knew the name Ethan Stone, he had been a different man entirely. Warm, trusting, hopeful. He and his wife, Mira, had started a small tech company with his younger brother, Adrian. A family dream. Mira handled the finances, meticulous and brilliant. Ethan was the ambitious, fearless face of the empire. Adrian built the software, loyal and eager to please. Or so Ethan believed. The business grew fast. Too fast. Investors loved Ethan. The media adored him. Mira kept the company stable. Adrian kept it innovative. They were unstoppable. On their wedding anniversary, Mira told him she was pregnant. He had never been happier. He spent weeks planning a surprise for her. Gifts, flowers, everything she loved. He wanted her to know she was still the center of his world. He arrived home early one evening, arms full of gifts, and found Mira in bed with his brother. He remembered standing there, unable to breathe. Mira gasped. Adrian cursed, and something inside Ethan broke, quietly, permanently. He wanted it to be a nightmare. He wanted to rewind time. But the truth spilled out like poison. The child wasn't his. It was Adrian's. Before he could process it, before he could even grieve, they destroyed what was left of him. Together, Mira and Adrian filed legal claims, forged documents, manipulated accounts, everything Mira had access to. In court, they painted Ethan as unstable, irresponsible, unfit to run the company he created, and the system believed them. They took the company. They took his home. They took everything except his name. He walked out of that courtroom a dead man in a living body. But Ethan did not stay dead. He rebuilt, brick by brick, deal by deal, strategy by strategy. He built a second empire, bigger, colder, stronger. He vowed never to trust again, never to love again, never to feel again. Warmth had betrayed him. Kindness had ruined him. So he carved himself into ice. The world knew Ethan Stone not as a businessman, but as a machine. Cold, precise, unaffected. Stone Industries had thousands of employees, but everyone understood one rule. The 50th floor belonged to Ethan alone. Executives needed appointments. Managers needed clearance. Even cleaning staff were forbidden from stepping out of the elevator without an escort. So no one, absolutely no one, ever expected a new maid to cross paths with him, especially not by accident. His schedule was militaristic. 6 a.m., arrive at the office. 6:15 a.m., Mr. Hale delivers a single cup of black coffee. 6:45 a.m., Ethan reviews reports. No one else was allowed on the floor until 8 a.m. The coffee ritual was sacred. Ethan didn't eat breakfast, didn't socialize, didn't deviate from routine. That coffee was the only indulgence he allowed himself. Until the morning, everything changed. Lina Hart had been hired only 2 days ago, not because she was special, far from it. A cleaning agency sent her to replace a janitor who quit mid-shift after Ethan fired 3 department heads in one morning. Lina wasn't meant to go anywhere near the executive floors. Her assignment was the 18th and 19th levels. No one warned her about Ethan's rules because no one imagined she'd ever get close to him. She was the kind of employee billionaires never meet. Invisible, replaceable, unnoticed. Until today. It started with a broken elevator. Lina pushed her cart to elevator C, staff transport. A red light flashed, out of service. Mrs. Grayson, the receptionist, sighed. Just take elevator A, it's working. Lina hesitated. Isn't that the executive elevator? You're staying on 18. It's fine, Mrs. Grayson said. Stop overthinking. So Lina stepped inside. She pressed 18. Nothing happened. The elevator shot upward, fast. She panicked, pressing buttons. No response. It rose past 25, 31, 40. please stop. Please stop, she whispered, voice shaking. It didn't. It finally dinged open on floor 50, Ethan Stone's floor. Lina froze. The hallway was silent, cold, intimidating. The doors began to close, but a hand stopped them. A tall man in a charcoal suit, Mr. Hale. He stared at her cart, then at her uniform. His frown deepened. You're not supposed to be here. I know, she stammered. The elevator malfunctioned. His phone buzzed. He checked it. Damn, he muttered. He waved her out quickly. Go. I need this area cleared. But where do I go? Straight to the lounge. Stay there until I come get you. Lina nodded and hurried down the hall. She didn't know the area needed clearing because Ethan himself had requested privacy. She also didn't know she was heading straight toward his private office lounge. His suite was massive, more penthouse than workspace. Most doors were closed, except one. The small executive lounge. Lina peeked inside. Empty. Relieved, she pushed her cart in. She exhaled. Maybe she wasn't in trouble. Then she made a small mistake, a tiny one, but enough to change everything. A cup of coffee sat on the counter. Cold. Lina, wanting to be useful while waiting, dumped it and brewed a new one using her own recipe, one she used at home when she needed comfort. She didn't know she was replacing Ethan Stone's personal coffee. She didn't know he had been drinking the same blend every morning for 7 years. She didn't know this floor had cameras everywhere. She didn't know Ethan was already on his way. Ethan entered the lounge without warning. No footsteps, no sound, just a sudden presence behind her that made every hair on her neck rise. Who are you? Not a question, a demand. Lina spun so quickly the tray rattled in her hands. She nearly dropped the fresh cup of coffee. I'm sorry, sir. The elevator.
Who are you?
I didn't ask for excuses. He stepped
I'm sorry,
closer.
sir. The
And
elevator.
just like that, Lina understood why people feared him. His face was expressionless, carved in silent judgment. His eyes held no warmth, no curiosity, only calculation. He looked at her like she was an inconvenience he wanted removed from his world immediately. Name. Lina Hart. Role. Cleaning staff, sir. He scanned her from head to toe. Not in attraction. There was nothing soft in his stare. Just evaluation. How did you get onto this floor? The elevator malfunctioned, and Mr. Batcomp Hale told me to wait here. That was a mistake. She swallowed hard. I'm very sorry, sir. You should be. He moved past her toward the counter, reaching for the coffee he left earlier. But it wasn't his coffee. It was hers. He lifted the cup, sniffed, paused. Something shifted in his expression, barely, but enough for Lina to notice. He tasted it, and the world seemed to stop. A flicker, not warmth, but something deeper, older, painful, passed through his eyes. When he finally spoke, his voice was quieter but sharper. Who told you to change my coffee? No one. I didn't know it was yours. I thought it was for staff. It wasn't. He stared at the cup again, longer this time. Not at her, not at the room. At the memory, the taste awakened. Her stomach knotted. She suddenly wanted to run. Before he could speak, Mr. Hale burst into the lounge, out of breath, holding a takeout cup from the specialty cafe downstairs. Sir, I apologize for the delay. The usual delivery was. He stopped when he saw Lina. Then he saw the coffee cup on the counter. His face went pale. Sir, I can explain. Get her out of here. Ethan's voice was like a blade. Yes, sir, right away. Mr. Hale grabbed Lina's arm, but before he could pull her out, Ethan picked up the cup she'd made. He stared at it. Then, against every expectation, he lifted it to his lips and tasted it. The room went silent. Lina held her breath. Ethan's expression didn't change, but his hand, just for a moment, tightened around the cup. He set it down slowly. Leave, he said quietly. Mr. Hale immediately dragged Lina out of the lounge. What the hell were you thinking? Mr. Hale hissed as they stepped into the elevator. I didn't know. I thought it was just leftover staff coffee. That was his coffee. Do you understand? No one touches his things. No one enters that lounge without clearance. You could have been fired or worse. I'm sorry. I didn't mean. The elevator doors opened on the ground floor. Go home, Mr. Hale said. I'll handle this. When Lina left the building, her legs felt weak. She didn't stop walking until she reached the bus stop outside Stone Tower. Only then did she let herself breathe. She expected a call firing her. She expected security chasing after her. She expected something. But nothing happened. At least not to her. Inside the tower, the employees were settling back into routine, except Mr. Hale, who returned to the executive lounge after escorting Lina out. He moved quickly, eager to replace the forbidden cup before Ethan asked for it again. But when he reached the counter, he froze. The cup was empty. Completely empty. Ethan Stone, whose morning coffee was prepared by a certified specialist, whose blend was imported from a private reserve, whose taste never changed, had finished it. Mr. Hale blinked. That had never happened before. Ethan barely tolerated the custom blend he drank daily, and it wasn't even because he liked it. It was because it was part of a controlled routine. But this was unexpected. He stared at the cup again, almost suspiciously, as if it would explain itself. Ethan Stone did not drink anything outside his strict regimen. He didn't try new things. He didn't experiment. He didn't gamble with taste or emotion or comfort. Yet the cup was empty. Mr. Hale felt a strange chill run through him. He didn't report it. He didn't mention it. He simply returned to his desk and pretended nothing unusual had happened. But the question lingered in his mind. Why did Ethan drink it? Hours passed. Meetings came and went. People tiptoed around the 50th floor as usual. The day began to settle into its normal rhythm, until 4:13 p.m. Mr. Hale's phone buzzed with a private message from Ethan's office. "Come to my suite." Mr. Hale straightened immediately and hurried in. Ethan was standing by the window, hands in his pockets, staring out at the city. His expression was unreadable, but something was different. There was a strange tension in the air, subtle but unmistakable. "You called for me, sir?" Ethan didn't turn. He spoke quietly, almost too calmly. "Find the girl." Mr. Hale blinked once. "Which girl, sir?" "Lina Hart." The way he said her name made Mr. Hale's blood pressure spike. Ethan didn't remember the names of most of his top executives, yet he remembered hers after hearing it once. "You want her? Fired?" Mr. Hale asked carefully. Ethan finally turned his head, eyes cold but sharp. "No." Mr. Hale straightened. "Then what do you want me to do, sir?" Ethan walked to the table, picked up the empty coffee cup, and set it down again. "I want her back here. Tomorrow morning. She will make my coffee from now on." Mr. Hale felt the shock hit him like a slap. For a moment, he wondered if he had misheard. "Sir, your coffee is usually prepared by the specialist we hired. I know who prepares it." Ethan's tone cut through the room. "Suspend him." Mr. Hale swallowed hard. "And Lina Hart should be brought to the executive floor?" Ethan's eyes hardened. "She will work for me. Personally." The air froze. This was the man who trusted no one, who didn't let anyone near his private rituals, who lived by structure and routine, untouched by sentiment. So why her? Why that coffee? But Ethan gave no explanation. He simply sat down at his desk, already dismissing Hale with silence. Mr. Hale nodded stiffly and left the suite, feeling the ground of Stone Tower tilt under his feet. News spread through the mansion by evening, a whisper at first, a shockwave by night. Ethan Stone, untouchable, unrateable, inhuman, had hired a cleaning staff girl to make his coffee, and not only hired her, but insisted on her personally. The staff in the mansion were stunned. No one could make sense of it. Why her? Why now? Why something so intimate as his morning ritual? None of them knew that Ethan himself didn't fully understand it either. But he remembered the taste of her coffee, warm, soft, impossibly gentle, and something inside him had loosened, something he buried years ago beneath the rubble of betrayal. He didn't like the feeling. He didn't trust it. But he couldn't ignore it. So he made the only decision that felt logical in a world where nothing made sense. Bring the girl back, and make her do it again. Lina didn't sleep that night. She lay on her thin mattress in her tiny apartment, staring at the ceiling as the hours stretched on. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Ethan Stone's face, expressionless, unreadable, carved from something colder than stone. She expected a call firing her, a warning letter, a message from HR. But her phone stayed silent. By morning, she convinced herself that was a good thing. Maybe they forgot about her. Maybe Mr. Hale covered for her. Maybe Ethan Stone had never even thought of her again. She got up, dressed in her uniform, and prepared to go back to her assigned floors, far away from the 50th, far away from the man whose presence still shook her bones. But halfway through tying her shoes, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Her heart dropped. Hello? Is this Lina Hart? A crisp voice asked. Yes? This is Stone Tower Administration. You are being reassigned. Her stomach nodded. Reassigned? Did I do something wrong? That information was not disclosed to me, the woman replied coolly. All we were told is that you must report to the main mansion tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Mansion? Lina whispered. Whose mansion? There was a pause, the kind of pause that said the answer shouldn't be repeated lightly. Mr. Ethan Stone's private residence. Lena's blood ran cold. I think there's been a mistake, she stuttered. I'm not qualified to work in his. This is a direct order from Mr. Stone, the woman interrupted sharply. You are expected. Do not be late. The line went dead. Lina sank onto her bed, staring at her hands as they trembled. Why her? Why would a billionaire, especially that billionaire, summon her to his home? She could still remember the way he stared at her yesterday in the lounge, like she was a problem he hadn't solved yet, a puzzle that irritated him, a disruption he wanted erased. But then he drank the coffee. Her coffee. And something shifted. She didn't know what she had done. She didn't know why it mattered. She didn't know why she mattered. But the decision was made for her. She had to go. The next morning, before dawn cracked across the sky, Lina stood at the tall iron gates of Stone Mansion, Ethan's private fortress. The place was enormous, cold, and intimidating, just like him. Security scanned her badge twice and checked her bag 3 separate times before letting her through. She walked the long driveway, feeling smaller with every step. When she reached the front doors, they opened automatically. Mr. Hale stood there, hands behind his back, face unusually serious. You're late, he said. It's 5:56, she whispered. Mr. Stone doesn't like implications of lateness, he replied. Follow me. They walked through marble hallways, past staff who whispered the moment Lina passed. That's her? The coffee girl. Did he really choose her? What makes her so special? Lina kept her head down. Mr. Hale stopped at a large double door, the private study. He turned to her, his voice softer now. Lina, whatever you do, don't make assumptions. Don't speak unless spoken to. And don't try to understand him. He isn't like other people. She nodded, even though nothing he said helped her nerves. Mr. Hale knocked once and opened the door. Ethan Stone was standing inside, his back to them, staring out the floor-to-ceiling windows. Morning light poured over him, making him look even sharper, even more untouchable. Sir, Mr. Hale said, Lina Hart is here. Lina felt her pulse hammering in her neck. Ethan didn't turn. Instead, he said one quiet command, make the coffee. Lina blinked. Sir, here? Ethan finally turned his head, eyes landing on her with the full weight of his silent authority. You replaced my coffee yesterday, he said. Do it again. There was no warmth, no softness, no gratitude, only an order. Lina nodded quickly and moved toward the small kitchenette inside the study. Her hands shook as she reached for the grinder. She could feel his gaze on her the entire time, sharp, assessing, impossible to read. She brewed it exactly the way she had yesterday in the lounge. The scent filled the room, warm and comforting, and for a moment she felt a strange sense of calm wash through her. She placed the cup on the desk. Ethan didn't touch it. He simply stared at it, for too long. Mr. Hale waited. Lina waited. The room waited. Finally, Ethan lifted the cup and tasted it. A slow breath left him. So soft she almost didn't hear it. It wasn't relief. It wasn't pleasure. It was something unfamiliar. Lina watched, confused. Ethan set the cup down. Effective immediately, he said, you will report here every morning at 6 a.m. You will not be late. You will follow my instructions exactly. Your primary responsibility is to prepare my coffee. Lina blinked. That's all I'll be doing? Just coffee? His eyes narrowed slightly. Is that a problem? No, sir. I just didn't expect. Never expect anything, he cut in coldly. Expectation is weakness. Lina swallowed. Mr. Hale stepped forward. Miss Hart, he said, you are now part of Mr. Stone's personal staff. That is an extremely privileged position. Don't take it lightly. Ethan's eyes never left her face. Be here tomorrow, he said. Dismissed. Lina stepped out of the study on shaky legs, heart racing, mind spinning. And as the door closed behind her, Ethan stood still, staring at the cup again, jaw tightening. Because the truth was simple. He didn't know why her coffee affected him. He only knew one thing. For the first time in years, something inside him had cracked, and he wasn't sure if he hated the feeling or needed more of it.
Days passed, and Lina settled into her new routine in the Stone Mansion. Every morning at 6:10 a.m. sharp, she prepared Ethan's coffee, and every morning at 6:11 a.m., Ethan Stone watched her do it. He didn't mean to, not at first. The first day he pulled up the camera feed from the pantry, it was out of pure suspicion. He didn't trust anyone, especially not someone who had changed his coffee without permission. He watched her movements with cold precision, the way she measured the coffee grounds, the way she tapped the filter twice out of habit, the way she breathed out softly every time she stirred. He told himself he was checking for mistakes. He told himself he was ensuring consistency. He told himself he was protecting routine. He lied to himself every single day because by the fourth morning he realized he had been staring at the screen long after the coffee was done, long after she left the kitchen. Sometimes he let meetings begin late. Sometimes he forgot documents in front of him. Sometimes he didn't even hear Hale walk in. But he never admitted it. Instead, he clicked out of the camera screen like the feed was burning him. Still, the next morning, he watched again. He tried to justify it. It was because the coffee tasted different. No, because it tasted right. No, because it made him feel something he hadn't felt in years. No, because she brewed it exactly the same every day, and that consistency calmed him. Every excuse except the truth. Something in him was softening. Not breaking, softening, like the frost on a window when touched by a warm hand. His staff noticed first. The chief butler whispered to the maid supervisor, "Sir didn't snap at the driver this morning." The maid supervisor whispered to Hale, "He thanked Lina yesterday. Did you hear? He said the word thank you." Hale whispered to the head chef, "He hasn't fired anyone in a week." The entire household felt it. Stone Mansion was breathing again, but Ethan? He refused to see what was happening. He buried himself deeper into work. He forced himself to stay distant. He convinced himself she meant nothing, until the day Lina didn't show up. That morning, the kitchen was silent. No soft humming, no gentle footsteps, no clinking of spoons. Ethan waited and waited. He checked the time, 6:10, then 6:15, then 6:20. Something cold rippled down his spine, familiar, painful. The same cold he had felt years ago when his world collapsed. He opened the CCTV feed. Empty. Just an empty counter, an empty cup, and an empty feeling he had no right to feel. Hale entered his office at 6:32 a.m. with a hesitant expression. "Sir," he said quietly, "I think you should know. Lina Hart will be resigning soon." Ethan's head snapped up. "What?" Hale swallowed. "Her contract ends next week. She needs to take care of her aunt. Apparently, her aunt's condition is worsening. Lina didn't want the staff to worry, but why wasn't I informed earlier? You, sir, with respect, you don't ask about staff. We didn't think." Ethan stood abruptly. "I didn't approve her resignation." "It's not about approval, sir," Hale replied gently. "She has to leave the city. Her aunt is very sick." Ethan didn't speak for several seconds. He couldn't. Because for the first time in years, his chest hurt. An ache he didn't recognize, or maybe he had forgotten it after burying it in betrayal and bitterness. He tried to sit back down, tried to continue working, but the words on the screen blurred. Numbers made no sense. Graphs might as well have been blank. His hand hovered over the keyboard. He couldn't edit anything. He couldn't code. He couldn't think. He couldn't breathe properly. His world, the one he carefully rebuilt, felt like it was unraveling again. Because one maid, one girl with a quiet smile and steady hands, was leaving. And suddenly, nothing made sense. Not the anger, not the coldness, not the walls he built, not the lies he told himself while watching her on the screen. He realized something terrifying. It was never about the coffee. It was never about suspicion. It was about her, and he was losing her. Hale found her first, walking toward the bus station, a small bag over her shoulder, worry etched into her face. "Miss Hart," Hale said gently, "you need to come with me. I told Mrs. Collins already. I can't stay. My aunt, Ethan wants to see you." Lina froze. Her pulse fluttered. He wants to see me personally?" "Yes," Hale replied. And he wasn't calm about it. Her stomach dropped, but she followed. The ride back was quiet. When the mansion doors opened, the air itself felt heavier, as if the walls knew Ethan was not in his usual control. He stood in the center of his office. Cold, still, unreadable. Lina's breath caught. "Sir, Who?" Ethan interrupted softly, dangerously. "Gave you permission to resign." She blinked. "Sir, I didn't think I needed permission. My contract was ending and my aunt—" "You don't walk out of here without my approval." "Sir, my aunt is sick. I have to take her to the hospital. I only took this job to raise money for her treatment. I can't stay." "Who told you to leave?" he snapped. "Who told you to disappear without a word?" His voice had never sounded like that before. Shaken, sharp, almost afraid. Lina looked up, confused. He wasn't angry at her. He was angry at the feeling of losing her. But Ethan wouldn't show it. He straightened his shoulders, coldness snapping back like armor. "You do not dictate when your service ends." Lina frowned softly. "Why are you talking like this?" "Because you work for me." "No," she whispered. "This isn't about the work. You're being hard on yourself. And on me." Ethan stiffened. "Don't presume to understand me." "But I do," she said quietly. "More than you think." His jaw clenched. She stepped a little closer. "Mr. Stone, I've seen you," she said gently. "I've seen how you try to hide everything behind that cold face. You're wrong." "No." Her voice remained soft. "I see the way you let the staff rest more these days. How you stop shouting. How you say thank you sometimes, even if you pretend you didn't." His eyes darkened. She kept going. "I see the kind man you're trying so hard to bury. You pretend you're made of ice, but you're not. You're hurting. You've been hurting for a long time. Stop." His voice broke. You don't know anything. I know you're scared, Lina whispered. Scared to care. Scared to trust. Scared to feel again. He froze. Completely. Why are you being so hard on yourself? She asked. Silence. A thick, suffocating silence. Ethan turned away, but his hands trembled slightly. Lina stepped closer. Tell me, what happened to you? He didn't answer. He couldn't. His breath shook, barely noticeable, but she saw it. She touched his arm. Ethan, she whispered. Talk to me. That name broke him. Not Sir, not Mr. Stone, his name. Emotion rushed to his eyes, rage, grief, memories he spent years burying. And everything spilled out. My wife, he whispered, voice cracking. My brother, they destroyed me. They took everything. They made me feel like nothing. His breath shuddered. He took a step back, but she followed. My empire, my home, the child I thought was mine, none of it was real. They betrayed me and laughed while doing it. I rebuilt everything alone. I swore I wouldn't feel anything ever again. Since then, I stopped feeling. I stopped caring. I stopped living. Lina's breath caught. He continued, voice breaking. I avoided love because it hurts. I stayed cold so I wouldn't lose anything again. But then you came. Your voice, your smile, your stupid courage. He almost laughed through the pain. And suddenly I started feeling again. I hate it. I've been fighting it, but I can't anymore. Lina's eyes softened. She touched his cheek, gently, tenderly. You were never nothing, Ethan. He closed his eyes as if the words hurt. You deserve better, she whispered. You deserve kindness. You deserve love. Ethan, everyone has a past. Everyone has pain. But you can choose what shapes you. Your past shouldn't trap you. You deserve kindness too. You deserve to love and to be loved. Oh, deserved better, she whispered. You deserve kindness. You deserve love. He swallowed hard. And you, he whispered, voice raw, you confuse me. Her heart skipped. You make my mornings different. You walk into a room and my entire body reacts. I watch you. God help me, I watch you every day. And I don't want to. I'm not supposed to. His voice trembled. But I can't stop. Lina went still. He took a slow step forward. I didn't want to want anyone again, he whispered. But I want you. Her lips parted. Ethan, he shook his head, voice breaking. Don't go. Her eyes blurred with emotion. My aunt, I'll take care of her, he said instantly. Medical bills, transportation, treatment, everything. Just don't leave. Lina stared at him. This was Ethan Stone, the man everyone feared, begging, soft, human. Lina stepped closer until their breaths touched. Ethan, she whispered, I wasn't planning to leave forever, just until she's stable. He exhaled shakily. But, she continued softly, I didn't think you'd care. His voice dropped to a fragile whisper. I care more than I want to. He leaned his forehead against hers. Their faces were close now, too close. He leaned in, then he stopped. His eyes dropped suddenly to her collarbone, to the tiny necklace resting there. A necklace he knew. A necklace he had not seen in over 20 years. His mother's emblem. The symbol worn only by the personal staff trained directly under her. His voice shook. Where did you get that? Lina blinked, confused. This? It was my father's. He worked for a wealthy woman many years ago. My mother gave it to me after he died. Ethan's pulse kicked. His mother, his childhood coffee, the taste that had comforted him through loneliness and loss. He stared at her, realization hitting him like a storm. Your father worked here, he whispered, for my mother, and suddenly everything made sense. The coffee, the taste, the familiarity, the warmth he felt only when Lina brewed it. It wasn't magic, it was memory, it was home, it was her father's recipe, the same one Ethan had grown up with. Lina gasped softly as she understood. So, the coffee you've been drinking since childhood was my father's? Ethan nodded, overwhelmed. And in that moment, with truth hanging between them, with silence turning warm instead of cold, he cupped her face, no hesitation this time. Don't go, Lina, he whispered. Please, don't go. Her breath trembled. Ethan. Then he kissed her, slow, soft, deep, a kiss that tasted like forgiveness, healing, memory, and something brand new. The change didn't happen overnight, but it happened. At first, the staff thought they were imagining things. The morning Ethan Stone walked through the kitchen and said good morning to the chef, Mrs. Langley nearly dropped her spatula. When he paused to ask how her daughter's university interview went, she had to steady herself against the counter. He remembered, she whispered to the other staff later. He actually remembered. I told him about Sarah. The head gardener, Mr. Chen, reported something even stranger. Mr. Stone came outside yesterday, just stood there watching me work. Then he asked if the roses needed anything diced, like he cared. By the third week after Lina stayed, the entire mansion was buzzing. Ethan Stone no longer walked through his home like a ghost. He walked through it like a man waking up. He stopped shouting when mistakes were made. Instead, he asked questions, calmly, patiently. He checked on staff members when they looked tired. He approved vacation requests without the usual interrogation. He even smiled once when the young maid's son sent him a crayon drawing of the tall man in the big house. Hale stood in the hallway one morning, watching Ethan actually laugh, at something Lina said while she prepared his coffee. "It's her," Hale murmured to himself. She brought him back, but it wasn't just Lina. It was Ethan choosing to let himself be brought back, choosing to feel, choosing to trust, choosing to live again. Then came the call. Lina's phone rang during breakfast in the staff quarters. She glanced at the screen, saw her aunt's neighbor's number, and her heart dropped. She answered, hands trembling. "Hello?" The voice on the other end was frantic, tearful. "Lina, your aunt collapsed. They've taken her to the hospital. You need to come, now." The phone slipped from her fingers. Everything blurred. She barely registered standing, barely felt her legs moving, barely heard the other staff asking what was wrong. All she could think was, not now. Please, not now. She ran, through the hallways, past confused staff members, toward the front doors, and collided directly into Ethan. His hands caught her shoulders, steadying her instantly. "Lina, what? My aunt," she gasped, tears streaming down her face. She collapsed. "I have to go. I have to breathe," he said firmly, his voice calm but urgent. "Where is she?" "City General Hospital. I don't have money for a cab. I'll take the bus." "No." His grip tightened. "You're not taking the bus." He turned sharply. "Hale." Hale appeared within seconds. "Get the car, now, and call ahead to City General. I want her aunt moved to a private room and the best doctors available. No delays." "Yes, sir." Ethan looked back at Lina, his eyes fierce but tender. "You're not doing this alone." He went with her. The entire ride, Ethan held her hand. He didn't let go when they arrived. He didn't let go when they rushed through the hospital corridors. He didn't let go even when the doctors assured them that her aunt was stable. Exhausted and weak, but stable. Lina collapsed into a chair outside the ICU, sobbing with relief. Ethan knelt in front of her, wiping her tears with his thumbs. "She's okay," he whispered. "She's going to be okay." Lina looked at him through blurred vision. "You didn't have to come." "Yes," he said simply, "I did. Because somewhere along the way, her pain had become his. Her fears had become his. Her world had become his." Weeks passed. Lina's aunt recovered slowly but steadily, now under the care of the best medical team Ethan's money could buy. Lina visited her every day, and every day, Ethan made sure she had everything she needed. Transportation, meals, time off, peace of mind. The staff watched it all unfold with quiet awe. Stone Mansion had transformed. There were flowers in the hallways now. Music played softly in the kitchens. Staff members laughed during breaks. Even the air felt lighter, warmer, alive. And at the center of it all was Ethan, no longer the man made of ice, but a man learning to thaw, one day at a time. He still had his serious moments. He still commanded respect. But now, there was warmth beneath the authority, kindness beneath the discipline, humanity beneath the control. People noticed. Investors noticed. The media noticed. "Ethan Stone has changed," they whispered in boardrooms and ballrooms. "He's different." And they were right. Then came the night that changed everything. The mansion was bustling with energy, not the cold, sterile efficiency of before, but genuine excitement. Staff rushed through hallways carrying decorations, flowers, candles. The grand ballroom, rarely used, was being transformed into something breathtaking. "What's happening?" one of the newer maids whispered. Mrs. Langley smiled knowingly. "You'll see." Lina was confused when Hale told her to meet Ethan in the ballroom at 7 p.m. "Why? Is there a party?" Hale just smiled. "You'll see." When she arrived, her breath caught. The ballroom glowed with soft golden light. Candles lined the floors. Rose petals created a path toward the center where Ethan stood, dressed impeccably, hands in his pockets, watching her with an expression she'd never seen before. Nervous, hopeful, vulnerable. "Ethan?" she whispered, stepping inside. "What is this?" He walked toward her slowly, each step deliberate. "Do you remember the first time we met?" he asked softly. She smiled through sudden tears. "You terrified me. I terrified everyone." He stopped in front of her. "I terrified myself." He took her hands. "I spent years building walls, Lina. I told myself I'd never feel again, never trust again, never love again." His voice cracked. "And then you walked into my life with a cup of coffee and a smile, and everything I built started crumbling." Her heart hammered. "At first I hated it," he continued. "I fought it. I watched you on cameras trying to convince myself it was about control, about routine, about anything except the truth." He cupped her face gently. "But the truth is, I fell in love with you." Lina's breath hitched. "You gave me something I thought I'd lost forever, hope. You reminded me what it felt like to be human. You showed me that warmth doesn't have to hurt, that trust doesn't have to end in betrayal, that love can heal." Tears streamed down her cheeks. Ethan slowly lowered himself to one knee. The entire staff, who had been watching from the doorways, gasped. He pulled out a small velvet box and opened it, revealing a ring that sparkled like captured starlight. "Lina Hart," he said, voice trembling with emotion, "you are the warmth that melted the ice. You are the light that broke through my darkness. You are the reason I'm alive again." He looked up at her with eyes full of love, fear, and desperate hope. "Will you marry me?" The ballroom held its breath. Lina couldn't speak. She could only nod, fiercely, repeatedly, tears falling freely. "Yes," she finally choked out. "Yes, yes, yes." Ethan stood, slipping the ring onto her finger, and pulled her into his arms. The staff erupted into cheers and applause. Mrs. Langley sobbed openly. Hale wiped his eyes discreetly. Mr. Chen clapped so hard his hands hurt. And in the center of it all, Ethan Stone, the man who once existed in a world carved from ice, held the woman who taught him how to feel again. He kissed her deeply, completely, as if sealing a promise. When they finally pulled apart, he rested his forehead against hers. "Thank you," he whispered. "For what? For not giving up on me. For seeing the man I forgot I could be." Lina smiled through her tears. "I didn't do anything special. I just made coffee." Ethan laughed, a real, full, joyous laugh that echoed through the ballroom. "No," he said softly, brushing a tear from her cheek. "You did something far more powerful." "What?" He looked into her eyes, his own shining with emotion. "You loved me when I'd forgotten how to love myself." Hashtag 5 years later. Stone Mansion was unrecognizable from what it once was. The hallways echoed with laughter now. Children, Ethan and Lina's twin daughters, raced through corridors that once knew only silence. Staff members were treated like family. The kitchen always smelled like fresh coffee and homemade bread. And every morning at 6 a.m., Ethan Stone still sat in his study, but now Lina sat beside him. Not as his maid, as his wife, his partner, his home. She handed him his coffee, the same recipe her father once made, the same warmth that had saved him. He took it, smiled, and kissed her hand. "Still the best coffee I've ever had." She laughed. "You say that every day." "Because it's true every day." Their daughters burst into the room, giggling, demanding breakfast and attention. Ethan scooped them both up, tickling them until they squealed. Lina watched, heart full to bursting. This was the man the world once called inhuman. This was the man who had been frozen, broken, lost. But love, true, patient, gentle love, had brought him back. And as Ethan looked at his family, his home, his life, he realized something profound. He was no longer made of ice. He was made of warmth, laughter, hope, and love. And it was the most beautiful transformation of all, the end. If this story touched you, please share it with someone who needs a reminder that healing is possible. Love can transform us. It's never too late to feel again. Want more stories like this? Subscribe, follow for more emotionally powerful tales about second chances, redemption arcs, love that heals, characters who transform from broken to whole like Ethan Stone learned. It's never too late to thaw. It's never too late to feel. It's never too late to love again. Thank you for reading. Your support means the world.